Hey, what's up guys and welcome to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 31 of What If Naruto Was Neglected by Everyone. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also, go ahead and check out the new episode of What If Naruto Was a Badass Genius that I posted on this channel. And enjoy that guys. And over on Anime King 2, I post a new episode of What If Naruto Was Banished and gathered all of the Jinjulkis. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support guys, and also stay in tune for What If Naruto Was a Deceitful God, and I hope you guys enjoy. And remember, if you're new to comment down below and tell me, I'll be replying and talking back to all of you. So without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their
So, the last part we left off, Naruto talked to the sage, as the sage could tell that Naruto was not the same. This was not the boy he talked to, who got angry at him for calling him Namikaze. He was something else. He was something else. As he asked Naruto who is he, but Naruto looked at his hands and said he doesn't know, as the sage could feel the power illuminated off of him. But Naruto said he has it under control, but the sage knew if he slipped, he could wipe out what they call a village in seconds. He has the power to do so, and with that Naruto left that realm, as he went to the Sound Village with Liz and Menma. Arriving there, Naruto broke the barrier that was around the Sound Village, as outside, it was like a glass shattered and the village was shown for what it truly was, a beautiful, luxurious place. It wasn't being showed from outside because of the barrier, the illusion that was placed around it. But now, it was being shown, as Naruto removed all of the restrictions, as he told Cole, the daimyo, that he no longer has to keep the missions for the Sound Ninjas a secret. As he had a meeting with Cole, he also went to Konan disguised as a normal ninja and said that Naruto died on the battlefield, and said that he left back instructions for her to continue and lead one of his armies in the battle. As she said yes, she will do it after a long thinking session. As he then revealed himself, as Konan saw the difference, he had changed a lot. As he told her that she's now free to exit as she please. As he opened the door and allowed her, as she attended the meeting as well. Back at Konoha, Jiraiya and the others, Jiraiya came as he informed Minato about the Sound Village and the changes. The barrier around it was gone, and now they could see what the village is truly made of. It was even more luxurious than Konoha, as the walls were taller than Konoha, the towers were big, and there was a large, extremely large tower in the center that almost went up to the clouds. That was what Naruto has been working on for the past 3 years. As Minato said that he will inform all of this in the upcoming meeting. Naruto then went and visited Mei Terumi, as she asked him what happened to him, as she saw the changes in him, but Naruto told her not to worry, that he will be attending the meeting that is coming up. He then left, as Naruto went out in a desert field where no villages or civilians were around. As he released some of his power, he can feel it bottling up inside of him and it wanted to be released, as the power consumed the entire area, shaking the place. Even after all that, it still didn't shake any amount of power he had within him. So yeah guys, that was basically the last part we left off. You guys can switch across the page and check it out for yourself, so let's begin this new episode. We begin this episode with 5 Kages, as they were currently having their meeting at Kumo. As the meeting places have fluctuated ever since Naruto found them at the Land of Iron. As all of them were there talking, as Minato was informing them about the changes that Naruto has undergo. Meanwhile, Naruto was in the Sound Village, as he was walking around looking around his village, as everyone was there greeting him. Even though he owned this place, he wasn't really dealing with a lot of the politics that was going on. He mostly left that all up to Guren and Cole, the daimyo, as he trusts both of them as none of them would ever think to betray him. Naruto then stopped. All of the people greeted him as he walked past around them, as that brought a smile to Uchiha Naruto's face. Back in Konoha, he was mistreated and hated, but here, people respected him, people looked up to him. But another side of him, this other side that wasn't really human anymore, didn't feel anything towards these people. Recently his emotions have started to be quelled down, and he didn't want that to happen. He still wanted to be Uchiha Naruto. He didn't want to be some emotionless robot, and he wouldn't allow that to happen. But this power inside of him, he's been getting new feelings, strange feelings. He feels like he was above everything, like mere humans are nothing to him but ants that walk on the ground. Because of the fluctuation of power within him, he can feel the difference between them and him, and it just giving him an arrogant mindset. But he shrugged it off and kept on walking. Today was the day. As he went by and visited the residence that Sasuke and his group has been staying at, it was a rather large residence to accompany all of them, as Sasuke and his group has basically joined wave right now. As Naruto stood at the door, he didn't bother to knock as he just opened it and went inside. As he walked in, he saw Karin as she was sitting on the couch as she was watching television. She stopped as she turned and looked at him. She froze for a second, seeing that she hasn't really seen him since he came back. She heard of his arrival, but she never saw him. As she wondered what changed, she could see his long white hair and his skin looked more grey, but nothing had really changed. It's because Naruto used bone manipulation, an ability that he got from Kaguya, to make the horns recede back into his forehead. So right now, he just looks like them, except his skin is more grey, and also his eyes show the Renny Sharingan. Naruto, said Karin as she got up. It's been a long time, she said to him. It has, he said. I'll be back in 30 minutes. Prepare yourself. Prepare for what? She asks. Sasuke wants to get revenge on Danzo. He will need your aid in his battle. Your special healing ability. Huh? Just prepare yourself, Naruto said. And with that he left without saying another word. Meanwhile, in one of the many training areas inside of a zone, Sasuke was currently facing off against two Jonin level shinobi. As the both of them had katana, they rushed at Sasuke with tremendous speed as Sasuke dodged their swipes. As he had his katana in his hand, but he wasn't using it. As he dodged their swipes and jumped out of the way, he then jumped up in the air. As he flipped through one-handed hand sign, lightning whip, he said, as a bolt of electricity ran from his hand and went down as it created a form of a whip. As he smacked it down to the earth, the two shinobis jumped away. With the moment the lightning whip touched the ground, it broke, creating a small crater. As Sasuke kept on smacking the lightning whip down, as the two shinobis dodged, the both of them speed through hand sign, wind style, gale palm, they said, as he released a blast of compressed air towards Sasuke. As Sasuke jumped back, lightning release, lightning vortex, he said, as he created a vortex of lightning that smashed right into the wind attack. As the three attacks dispersed, suddenly the two men stopped fighting as Sasuke turned, as he saw Naruto walking up to them. As Sasuke wondered where the hell did he came from, he didn't sense anything at all. This is also the first time he was seeing Naruto, as he went by the other day to see him, but he was told by the guards that Naruto was busy dealing with important matters. So you finally decided to show your face, Sasuke said, as the two Jonins looked at Sasuke, as he talked to their leader rather casual, even though everyone else talked to him in a respectful and honorable tone. He talked to their leader casual. Sasuke, I see you have been taking your training well, Naruto said. You two are dismissed, Naruto said, as the both of the Jonins nodded as they walk off. What's the matter, Sasuke asked. It's time that you face Danzo, Naruto said. You said you wanted revenge against the man who sent your brother to wipe out your clan. Yes, I did, Sasuke said, and I've been asking for that for a long while now. Why now all of a sudden? I made you a promise, I told you it will happen. I don't go back on my promise, Naruto said. But someone will also be accompanying you. Who? Your friend Karen, and also Conan. What? You mean that Akatsuki girl? Why would she be coming? Well, she also has a hatred for the man. He did something in the past that allowed her friend to die. I made a promise to her as well, that she would get her revenge. I want to take him on alone. This isn't a request, Naruto said. As Sasuke clenched his fist, he wanted to say something, but the look that Naruto gave him made him shut his mouth instantly. There was this ominous aura leaking from Naruto that made him didn't want to say anything. It then quickly vanished as it came. Naruto then moved forward. As he placed a hand on Sasuke's shoulder, it was like a boom, like a rush. It was like a drug Sasuke felt. His chakra system went up to the max as his body felt energetic, like it was healed from the bit of tiredness that he just had training. I'll be back in 30 minutes. Get yourself ready. And with that, Naruto simply vanished as he came, not even making a sound. Naruto was up in the sky as he was floating over the village, as he was going towards Konan's destination, as he rather liked to fly and just observe the village. Naruto then noticed something as he looked over to Guren's private quarters, as he saw Yukimaru as he entered the compound. But to Naruto's surprise, he saw Menma, who came through the window on the opposite side of the compound and ran off. As Naruto looked down confused, he then started to chuckle as he realized what he was seeing, as he then turned his head and kept on floating. He then arrived as he saw Konan. As she was just standing there, she heard him land behind her, but she didn't react like he was there. As he walked up to her and stand side by side. "What are you looking at?" he asked. "Nothing in particular," she said. As she looked at him, "I see you got rid of the horns." "It kind of made me look strange," Naruto said. "They're not needed, unless I want to scare my enemy," he said to her. "Today is the day," he said. "Huh?" she said to him. "You told me you want revenge on the man that helped. That is the reason, the main reason behind your friend Yaito's death. I'll be back in 30 minutes as I told you. The Uchiha also want revenge on that man. He will be tagging along with you, along with one of his friends." "How are you going to get him?" asked Konan. "He's in Konoha," Naruto said. "I'm going to go there and take him." Konan looked at Naruto, but she didn't say anything, as she remembered what he made her feel, his power that felt like an unending pit that goes so deep she didn't even know where to end. Konoha is going to resist. "Are you going to fight back?" she asked. "Not yet. The time isn't right yet. But I believe showing my face will bring Uchiha Naruto some pleasure." She looked at him, confused. "I wanted to ask you something. Are you no longer the same boy I knew?" she asked. "Recently, you have been talking about Uchiha Naruto like you're no longer him." "It's strange," Naruto said. "I have all his memories and his feelings. But there's another part of me that is fighting for dominance. Another part that I don't wish to take over." "And why is that?" she asks. "That part has no feeling for humanity. It only wants this world to be drained of all its chakra. And I don't wish to do that to my friends." He then turned and started to walk away, as that statement freaked her out a bit. Some time later, Naruto could be seen floating over Konoha, as he was high above the barrier, so they could not sense him entering the village. As he looked down at the village, he could feel it, the rage, the anger. His eyes were pulsating with anger, as he could feel Uchiha Naruto inside of him stirring, wanting to just eradicate this village right now. But he calmed himself. It was still not time yet. But at least, they will know what fear is. As Naruto descended upon a small mountain, as he slowly made his way towards the village. Going towards the village, he saw merchants and sellers just walking as they were entering and exiting Konoha. They looked at him strangely because of his long white hair that just flowed behind him and doesn't seem to apply to gravity, as it was just flowing up and sometimes going down and the wind wasn't blowing. And also his grey skin and his eyes his strange looking eyes that made some people scared. Naruto arrived at the gates. As Izumo and Kotetsu were there. Name please. Kotetsu stopped, making Izumo look up as well. As Izumo stepped back in fear, and so did Kotetsu, as they could see it. Even though he looked different and older, it was him. Those marks on his face, they haven't disappeared. He still had the 3 lines in his face. It's Naruto, Izumo said, as he stepped back in utter shock and fear. Naruto didn't even pay them any mind as he stepped inside the village. The both of them wanted to attack, but they couldn't, as they didn't know why, but they just couldn't move. It was not like he was doing anything to them. Naruto entered the village as a woman was chasing after her son, as he was just giggling with his younger brother beside him. The both of them were throwing the ball to each other until the younger brother made it slip, as the ball stopped right in front of Naruto. Naruto kneeled down as he picked up the ball, as he looked at it, as he tossed it towards the woman's son. The boy caught it and looked up at Naruto, as the woman was about to thank whoever did that, but she stopped in her tracks, as she started to back away in utter fear, as she nearly stumbled over herself as the man saw her falling and catch her. What's going on? Why did the man stop as well? It can't be, he said. As the moment they saw those whisker marks, they could tell, even though his color might look different and his hair was long and white, it was him. The demon has returned, the man said as he screamed and ran off. Hearing that, everyone started to look around, as the people started screaming panic and chaos and ran. As Naruto could sense a lot of shinobis coming to his area. They probably sensed him the moment he walked through the village, through the barrier. But Naruto simply vanished. As he arrived to the Ichiraku ramen stand, as he stood there, Naruto moved the curtain as he sat down. "Be right with you, customer," said Amy as she walked around, as she currently had a glass in her hand. Her father in the kitchen, who was cooking, heard something break as he ran around. What's going on? As he stopped in fear, looking into those eyes, looking at that face, he could tell who this boy was, and images of what he did that night flashed through his mind. The little poor Naruto. The villagers forced him to poison Naruto food to sedate him so that he couldn't run away from them. Or they would burn down the shack. And he had to do it. He had to poison the boy's food. And that night the villagers hold him and they beat the living crap out of him. The old man and Amy stood there in utter shock, as they didn't know what to say or do. But Naruto was looking at them as he looked at one of the menus. "One bowl of miso ramen," he said, as neither of them moved. As Naruto looked up at the old man, I said, "One bowl of miso ramen. And this time, don't try to poison my food." Neither of them still moved. "I said, one bowl of miso ramen," Naruto said, releasing a little pressure, as the old man gave a slow nod. "I'll be right with you." Amy stood there looking directly at Naruto, as she didn't know what to say. Every word, every apology simply died in her throat, as she could only ask one thing. "Have you come here to kill us?" she asked. As she could tell, after hearing the rumors of his strength and his power, that made her and her father worry that one day he would seek out revenge, and it seems like today was the day. "Only time will tell," Naruto said. "But I guess the interruption is coming." The moment he said that, at least 4 squads of Anbu surrounded the place, along with every Jonin, and Tsunade, and Jiraiya, who Minato left behind to make sure if anything happened they were here, as he had went to the meeting with Kakashi and Shikaku. He made sure to leave Jiraiya and Tsunade behind, just in case. Jiraiya stood there with Tsunade. "He has finally come here," Jiraiya said. Tsunade clenched her fists. "No matter how strong he has gotten, he cannot take on all of us," she said, as she was ready for anything. As Naruto got up, "Look like our reunion will have to wait." as he moved the curtain and stepped outside. As he was surrounded, shinobis from all angles, envoys surrounded the place. Naruto, said Tsunade as she stepped forward. So you have finally come here to finish what you started. Finish what I started? As she noticed a change in him, his eyes, they were different. Those are not the normal Renegons that he had. They had the commas in them. And his hair, what happened to his hair? What happened to you, Jiraiya said. I've went through some changes, Naruto said. As he looked around at the envoys. These are not any of them, he said. What are you talking about, said Jiraiya. The roots, Naruto said. Roots? Roots were disbanded a long time ago, said Jiraiya. As Naruto gave a small chuckle. Either you're completely arrogant, or you're trying to play a fool out of me, or these ninjas, I don't know which one. Suddenly a green blur shot past Tsunade and Jiraiya. As Naruto didn't even move or try to block the attack. As the attack was stopped by an invisible barrier. As Lee's foot was just stopped right there. Lee had a look of pure rage and anger on his face. As Jiraiya and Tsunade jumped back as a barrage of kunais and shurikens started to rain down from the sky. As Amy and the old man were led out of the ramen shack. As Tenten released all of her weapons down. But to their surprise, neither one of them touched him. As they were all pushed back, they wasn't sent flying in the other ninjas, they simply fell to the ground. Neji appeared in front of Naruto as he delivered a multiple strike to Naruto's chest and stomach. But Neji felt that something was off. It felt like he wasn't hitting anything, even though it looked like his hits were landing. Stand down, said Jiraiya. No, he would pay for what he did to Guy Sensei, said Lee. As he dashed forward again. As he came at Naruto with a spinning kick, this time Naruto raised his hand. He grabbed Lee's foot, and all of the force was behind Lee's kick simply vanished. As Naruto grabbed him and thrust him into the building behind him. But Lee was sent flying through it, and flying through 3 other buildings, until he smashed into the wall. As Tenten looked up in shock, as she pulled 2 long katanas, as she jumped forward. She intended to impale Naruto, but he moved with such speed as her katana stabbed into the ground as he grabbed her by the throat. Tenten, Neji said as he dashed forward again, but he received a backhand as he smashed into the ground. As Naruto looked Tenten in the eyes, he simply gave her a look as her entire body went limp as she collapsed down. As Tsunade and Jiraiya told the envoys to hold off, seeing what he just did to them without ease. Why are you here? Asked Tsunade. Is this it? You said that you will come back and try to destroy the village. Is that what you're here for? Naruto, said a voice, stopping Naruto from doing anything or saying anything. As his 2 sisters landed, both of them already in sage mode. His mother landed as well. So, this is it, said Mito as she looked at him. She didn't notice he looked different, but Narumi was the one to speak. What happened to you? She said. I've went through some changes, Naruto said. You don't have to worry. Today is not the day I will destroy Konoha. Arrogant bastard, the envoy said, as he walked in here, acting like he could do anything he pleased as they were getting pissed. Hold, said Jiraiya, as he didn't want anyone of them to rush in and do anything stupid. As Jiraiya was smart, he could sense something coming from Naruto, a power that seemed to have no ending to it. If you're not here to fight, then what are you doing here? Asked Kushina. I'm here for Danzo. That caught everyone confused. Danzo, said Tsunade. Why are you here for Danzo? I promised a friend that I will get him. As Naruto then looked around, the highest source of ninjas underground, or to the west over there. As he started to walk away. Wait, Mito said as she stepped forward. Naruto, you need to stop. You know what's gonna happen. They're gonna attack you. Look around you, you're surrounded by ninjas. And this battle is gonna cause a lot of unnecessary deaths. She's right, said Narumi as Narumi stepped forward. Please, just don't do this. Listen to your sisters, said Kushina. We're begging you. Please, I'm begging you as your mother. I know that might not mean a lot to you, but I'm begging you, Naruto, please, don't do this. This is gonna cause a lot of death. A lot of people is gonna die today. And I don't want me to die, Naruto said. As he looked at Kushina, he simply started to walk off again. Don't think that you can just leave like that, said Jiraiya. If one of you step in my way, I will reduce this village to ashes. That was the only thing he said as he walked off. As Navi noticed another group of Anbu arrive. As without hesitation, these Anbus launched at Naruto. Wait, said Navi. As all of them, all 6 of them, just launched at him with their katanas. As soon as they reached at least 5 feet towards him, their bodies stopped in mid-air. Suddenly, they started to sweat, as you could see the sweat running off their skin, dropping to the ground. As literally, everyone watched as their body exploded. Their arms exploded outwards and their legs, just raining down blood. As everyone watched in shock and horror. And the thing was, Naruto wasn't even facing them. His back was turned. What the? He then turned around, as he picked up one of the masks that didn't crack. As a small vortex appeared beside him as he threw it inside. He then started to walk again. Wait, Jiraiya said. We can't do anything inside here. His attacks are wild scale. Remember what the 9 tails can do. Imagine what the 10 tail power can do. We can't allow him to destroy Konoha. Just keep an eye on him, but do not engage unless it's necessary. And those Anbus, who were they? As Jiraiya was talking, they watched as Naruto blinked away. Where did he go? Said Narumi as she looked around. I have no idea, said Mito. Naruto arrived in the forest. As he looked down, he simply tapped his feet on the ground, and the entire thing exploded outwards, revealing a section underground. As he landed, the moment he landed, the ground covered back up, like there wasn't a mini explosion a second ago. As he was walking in a dark facility, as he was looking around, he reached into a corridor. As he noticed the walls were lined with paper bombs. As he saw one of those masked ninjas, they were the Roots. As he performed a single hand sign and jumped into the shadows. Before Naruto could say anything, the entire place went off. He was deep underground as the explosion just made the earth shake a bit, but underground was wrecked. As where Naruto stood, the explosion was massive, blown towards all corners of the room. A far distance away, sitting down on a makeshift throne, Danzo was there. As he was deep underground, with his entire root force. I don't think that will be enough to stop him. He is much too powerful now. Go. Bring me his head, Danzo said, as all of his root forces dashed off, except for Toru and Fu, who stood behind his main guards, and Sai as well. In case all of that failed, Danzo had a plan, as he was currently removing the lock on his arm, removing the seal contrap, as it dropped to the ground at thud, just to make sure, as he showed his hand with the lots of Sharingans on it, as he removed the bandage from his eye to show his Sharingan. This was needed now. The Anvus arrived, the Roots, as they saw the place was nothing but debris. The explosion was massive, but it still didn't hurt upwards, as light was not being shown from the surface. To their surprise, no body, nothing was there. Where did he go? One of them asked. Are you guys stupid? Said a voice. As they turned, as most of them jumped away, as Naruto simply emerged from the shadows. How didn't we sense him? One of them asked. Lord Danzo was right. No holding back, one of the men said. Release everything. Naruto spoke again, stopping them. Whosoever charge at me will die. As they didn't care, all of them quickly pulled their swords, all ready to go through hand signs. Meanwhile, Danzo was sitting on his throne as he heard screams and many explosions as the ground shook where he was. To his surprise, it only had been 1 minute as he saw someone walking towards him. Impossible, Danzo said as he was on his feet. No, That's impossible. He had hundreds of root agents. Most of them are highly skilled. It had only been a minute. What happened, Danzo said. They're all dead, Naruto said, in a rather stoic tone. I told them that if they face me, they will die. As Danzo stern his features. So you're finally here, huh? Uchiha Naruto, he said. That was what you're going by, right? But not the demon brat who lived in Konoha, who was just a pest, a monster, a beast that everyone tortured. Naruto looked at Danzo with a rather amusing look on his face. Are you trying to anger me, human? Naruto said. Human? You speak like you're no longer human. Only time will tell, said Naruto. But really, are you trying to anger me? Huh, Danzo gave a small smirk. You should know, I was one of them who mainly enjoyed seeing you get tortured and suffered. Because you were the weapon of the village, and even your own father tossed you out like garbage. Naruto stepped forward as Danzo smirked. Suddenly, the ground under Naruto's circle lit up. As Danzo formed a single hand sign, as many strange seals appear on the ground. As Danzo stepped forward, all of that sealing art, not even you can break it, Danzo said. And with you here, you have just given me the perfect weapon to take over all the elemental nations. As Danzo stepped forward, I know this will take a while before my eye is able to use again. But this is a good cause, Danzo said. You're a disgusting man, Naruto said, as he saw the eyes on Danzo's arm. Experimenting on yourself like that. The only thing you shall speak from now on is what I allow you to speak, Danzo said. Now, be under my command. As the Mangekyo Sharingan spin in his eye, as Naruto simply looked at him, as Danzo looked at him. Now, Uchiha Naruto, who do you belong to? No one, Naruto said. As Danzo stepped back in shock. What? Do you really think that Sharingan would work on me, Naruto said. To Danzo's surprise, Naruto stepped forward out of the sealing array, as that scared Danzo even more. That sealing array was supposed to hold him. How was this even possible? Can't you see my eyes, Naruto said. They're far more advanced than what you possess now. You're not even in my league, Naruto said to him, as Danzo stepped back in utter fear. If that didn't work, Saiden quickly rushed forward as he drew some things on his scroll, as several ink snakes rushed forward, but before they could touch Naruto, they simply exploded. As Toru took off his shirt, Lord Danzo-sama, he said, yes, do it. As Toru dashed forward, he rushed upon Naruto. As Naruto didn't stop him, Toru tried to touch Naruto, but he couldn't. There was this strange barrier between the both of them. What the hell, he said, as he tried to push against it. What is going on? But before he could say anything else, Naruto reached up and poked him on the head. As Naruto pushed some of his chakra into Toru's head exploded as his body dropped to the ground. Fu quickly went into his position as he went into Naruto's mind with his mind transfer jutsu. But Fu found himself in hell, as this is the only way he could describe this place, as there was fire everywhere and he was in real pain. On the outside, Fu's body started to burn. How is this possible, Danzo said. You tried to put your illusions on me, Naruto said, but you should know, what I use aren't illusions. As Fu's body turned into dust, as it completely incinerated, Naruto simply tapped his foot on the ground, as a wood vine broke under Danzo and wrapped him up, squeezing him tight. As the ground broke open as Danzo was being pulled underground, Sai quickly jumped forward as he tried to stab the root vine, but three of the vines extended as they launched after Sai. As Sai jumped back, but he jumped back right into Naruto, as he felt something grip the back of his neck. Before he could think, his neck was snapped as his lifeless body dropped to the ground, as Danzo was pulled underground, but he was pulled into Naruto's dimension. As Naruto went out the way he came, as he arrived to the scene, all over the place was dead bodies. Blood splattered everywhere from the hundreds of root ninjas that he killed, as they were quite stupid to face him on such a close combat place. where he could just incinerate all of them. As Naruto looked at the place, filth, that was the only word he muttered, as he held out his hand, as one of his truth-seeking balls appeared. It then started to glow ominously with a dark aura. As Naruto looked up, the ground started to crack. As Naruto simply fly out, he then released the truth-seeking orb. It exploded as the explosion teared through the entire forest, leveling the entire place. After a few seconds, the Konoha ninjas, Mito and Narumi and Kushina arrived. As Nade looked at all the destruction. "What have you done?" she said, as she saw Naruto floating in the air. "I came for what I wanted. It's time that I go." As he glanced at his sisters and his mother, he then descended back down to the ground. As he walked up to them, shocking them, they didn't try to fight back or anything, they just looked at him, wanting to see what he was going to do, but they were still on their guard. As he spoke, "There is a part of me that wished to do you no harm," he said. That stunned them. That stunned everyone around. "What?" Kushina said. "Well, if you don't want to do us any harm, then don't," said Narumi. "There is still Uchiha Naruto inside of me," Naruto said. "And I cannot simply let him go on rest. If he doesn't get what he wants, he will go angry. And I cannot have him fighting with my other self. That will just cause problem." "What are you talking about?" said Mito. "What happened to you?" As Naruto looked at her, "I am sure that your father will inform you once he returns." As Jiraiya looked at Naruto with a stern glare. "Yes, I know," Naruto said. "He's currently in Kumo, right? I'm going to pay him a visit soon enough." "What are you planning?" asked Nade. "If you know the ideas in my head, you would surely go mad." "What do you mean by that?" said Nade as she stepped forward. "I no longer wish to speak to you," he said. He then turned back to Narumi and Mito and Kushina, as he surprised them by giving them a small smile. "Even if I don't want to do you any harm, Uchiha Naruto still has this burning hatred for you. When the time comes, it will be the village, its people, or your life. I am curious to know which one you will stand for," Naruto said. And with that, he simply vanished, leaving everyone behind. Once as the censors realized he was no longer there, they let out a sigh of relief. This man simply walked in their village and did as he pleased, and none of them could stop him. Meanwhile, Naruto came back to the sound. As he appeared in front of Sasuke, he was already ready, as Karin was right beside him. As Naruto simply held out his hand as a swirling vortex sucked the both of them inside. Naruto then vanished as he appeared beside Konan, as he was also ready, as he did the same thing to her. Naruto then arrived to an empty wasteland. No people or villagers were around. As Naruto simply looked around, "This will do," he said, as he held out his hand, as Konan, Karin, and Sasuke arrived. "What the hell?" Sasuke said. "Where are we?" As Konan looked around, "I was wondering the same thing," she said. "This is where you will have your battle," Naruto said, as he simply waved his hand as the ground break open as a wood clone was created from the wood. As Naruto then looked over, the ground then started to crack as the wood vine break from the ground, bringing up Danzo from a small dimension. As to them, it looked like Danzo simply came from the earth like that, but Naruto placed him into a dimension and kept him there until he was ready. As Danzo get out and he was gasping, "Where the hell am I?" he said, as his body felt weird, going through that strange portal, as he felt like he was in a place like limbo. Nothing made sense there. Up was down, left was right, right was left. His mind felt all jumbled up and like it was about to explode. "You know what to do," Naruto said to the clone. The clone nodded as Naruto vanished. As Danzo, who had already showed his Sharingans, as Sasuke had his sword in his hand, as a dead glare, Sasuke gave Danzo, "You rotten bastard! After all that you did to my clan, you dare possess their eyes? Ah, young Uchiha, said Danzo as he stepped forward. He then looked over at Konan as he narrowed his eyes at her. He didn't know why, but she looked familiar, as it didn't click yet. He shrugged it off for now. Young Uchiha, you must know that that thing is no longer a human being. He's a real monster. You need to come back to Konoha and work with us and try to take him down. Because if you keep on following him in this path, you and everyone will surely die. Hearing that, Sasuke chuckled. Do you really think after all of that, I would come back to Konoha? And why would I betray Naruto like that? He has given me what I want, the vengeance to take out on you. You will pay for what you did to Yaiko. Hearing that, he turned his head towards her. Now I remember, he said. You were there, with that other brat. Other brat, she said as she clenched her fist. It's time for you to die, she said. Meanwhile, Naruto arrived at the mountainside as he looked down at Kumo. As he stopped and spread out his senses, as he could feel the Kage level shinobi, Naruto didn't waste any time as he simply flew over the village. The moment he got in close, the sensory core went off as they felt power they had never felt before enter the village. A man named Kono rushed towards his superior. Sir, these reports. There must be something wrong with the barrier. As a leader, tap into the system barrier that spread all over Kumo. As he felt it, the man simply shaked in fear. What is this that has descended upon us, he thought. Quickly, get the information to the Raikage. As they sent the fastest messenger as he dashed through the doors. Meanwhile, with the 5 Kages, one human to hold so much power, said Oniki as they were in the meeting. As they heard the guards at the door talking to someone. The person then rushed inside. Sir Raikage. As the Raikage turned around, what is it? There is... But before he could say anything else, one of the guards shouted, Who are you? And what are you doing here? Before they saw the man sent flying through the stone wall, breaking into the room. As all of the bodyguards went on guard, the man, the messenger at the door, turned as he stepped back in shock. Who is it, the Raikage said? As Naruto stepped inside of the room. But guys, to be ending this episode right here. If you want to see the next part of this or know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below and turn that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in social media platform. But I'm out for now guys. Peace.